Now that the trailer for X-Men 97 Season 2 has finally arrived, I have come to a startling conclusion. X-Men 97 is officially a black show. Let's talk about why.
You can't see me, you Stevie, wondering how I reach more evolutions than Evie and make it look easy.
I know. X-Men 97, a show that is predominantly made up of white people. How is this now officially a black show? Well, this is a conclusion that I had come to after seeing the trailer. And I know there is kind of the long-standing belief that because of the allegories for racial injustice that exist within the framework of the X-Men and have existed within the framework of the X-Men for a very long time, a lot of people, I'll go ahead and just say it, I know more than my fair share of black people who believe that the X-Men and mutants as a whole are just an allegory for racism against black people. I would make the argument you could really just say that about bigotry towards any marginalized group, but yes, you could say that too. It's same picture, really, if we're keeping it a buck. I'm not gonna sit here and play the discrimination Olympics with that. But the thing with me, and the reason why I think X-Men 97 is a black show, is because by the metrics that I'm judging this, X-Men 97 is really a black show already, even before the Season 2 trailer. But now, with the Season 2 trailer and the reveal of the new characters who are being introduced, it is undeniably a black show. And here's why. The reason why is because the late, great Dwayne McDuffie, the god Dwayne McDuffie, he said something one day that struck me as incredibly true. Before his passing, during an interview, he talked about something that happened to him while he was working at DC Comics when he was writing Justice League, and he was putting together the roster of the characters that he wanted to work with. And I'll play this clip and let it speak for itself.
I came on to Justice League after a very successful run. And during that run, they had added 2 black members to the team. And it was already planned that 2 more black members would join the team very shortly. So when I came on the book, I was told right up front, bring the Black Green Lantern in and bring in Firestorm, who's a kind of a young Spider-Man-ish superhero who's a black college kid. And I'm like, oh, great, okay. And before I knew it, I had broken what I call the rule of 3. And that rule is, in popular entertainment, if there are 3 black people in it, it is a black product. You can have 2 black guys, although it's a stretch. If you have 3, it's a black show. And suddenly, it was a black show.
Now, you heard what the man said. If you have 2, it's a stretch. But if it's 3, it is a black product. And we already technically had that. You see, when we had X-Men 97 Season 1, we had a team roster that included Storm, Bishop, and then also Sunspot, who was introduced in the first season of X-Men 97. Now, I know what some people are probably thinking, wait, isn't Sunspot Brazilian? You would be correct, he is Brazilian. However, he is also Afro-Latino. Now, if you want to dispute that because of things that have been said or done over the course of his history, or how he has been depicted, because I will be the first one to tell you, Sunspot is typically portrayed as light, bright, and 2 shades from white more often than not. Most of the time, he is made to look almost completely white as opposed to looking anything close to a Latino, much less an Afro-Latino. That being said, we cannot deny some of the things that are very obvious. When he was first introduced, his father looked more like a whole black person than he did, anything else when he was first introduced. And granted, in later depictions, he was treated as though he was damn near ashy gray or various other colors. But the reality is that Sunspot, he is Afro-Latino. Now, if you want to dispute that and you want to say,
No, he's not Afro-Latino, he's not black.
I'll concede that ground to you if that's what you just really want. But that doesn't change my opinions on X-Men 97 Season 2. Because not only do we now have Storm and Bishop on the roster, we also have Sunspot, which, by the way, hey, like I said, I'll concede that ground. Let you have that one. So once again, we're kind of in the it's a stretch, situation. But we also have 2 more mutants that were revealed for the roster of X-Men 97 Season 2. And that is none other than Monet, and one of my personal, probably all-time favorite mutant in the history of X-Men, Synch. 2 mutants who are probably most famous for being a part of Generation X, but they make an appearance in the trailer. It's very blink and you will miss them, because it's it's in the same scene where we see Polaris letting off with her power, and when the camera pans out, we see both Synch and Monet chilling in the back. Monet is technically in her penance form, also just by virtue of the fact that Monet and the way penance works, and how she had the 2 younger sisters. I don't know exactly how X-Men 97 is going to square that circle, but just the sheer fact that there could literally be 3 people, Monet and her siblings, kind of hanging around in one place at the same time, well, then that bumps that number up from, 2 people with, Synch and Monet to a potential 4 people, possibly, if we really, want to go there. And then I would even go as far as to say that even though technically it has kind of been wishy-washy with Apocalypse for a very long time, Apocalypse, when they introduced the whole idea of a Rocco, it kind of changed my opinion of maybe what Apocalypse may or may not be, but I'm not going to hold you. I've just always viewed Apocalypse as being black. The guy existed back in ancient times during ancient Egypt, before colonization was ever really a thing. So, I could always make the case that it's his mutation that makes him look the way he looks. Case in point, we have characters like Darwin walking around, who was a whole black person, but also looks like a bald white guy. Darwin actually looks the way Morph does on X-Men 97. But I get away from my key point because of this very metric that Dwayne McDuffie had laid out.
The rule of 3. That rule is, in popular entertainment, if there are 3 black people in it, it is a black product. You can have 2 black guys, although it's a stretch. If you have 3, it's a black show.
And if you think that rule is bogus or baloney, it is not, because we see it in pop culture every single day. Anytime that there is a TV show, no matter how white-focused or white-centered it is, the moment that more than a couple of black people show up on it, white people turn on that show. We've seen it tons of times. And we've even seen instances where people try to prop up white shows. Case in point, I always like to go to Friends in this particular aspect, because I often have people in my orbit who are just unapologetically lovers of the TV show Friends. And they'll say,
No, man, Friends had black characters on it sometimes.
and yeah, I tell them to name them, and then they kind of just stare at me like their dial-up is starting to turn on or something, because they then start realizing that there's only ever really been a handful of black people who regularly showed up on the show and were actually around for any stretch of time. I'm not counting guest stars. I'm counting actual black characters who were on the show, and you're not in just I'm here as a guest. No, they were there at the very least as a supporting character who regularly made appearances. This is what I'm talking about. So yes, when you have shows, even movies, where you ever see there's this huge cast of white people, maybe some other people in there too, but you notice there's only really one black dude around, one black woman around, or maybe if there is more than one black character, maybe it's not more than 2, and sometimes those black characters are there because they know each other or something, or because they're dating or whatever. That's a pretty common thing. I actually challenge you, go back and watch any movie, any TV show from over the past 40 to 50 years, even before that, and just kind of pay attention to the makeup of the show. I don't expect white people to notice it. I think black people notice it because, well, duh, it affects us. It doesn't affect white people in any way until that third Negro shows up. But anyway, argue with your mama, don't argue with me. If you enjoyed this video, do all the things, do the YouTube stuff, subscribe, like, whatever, hit the hype button. That hype button is gold. I need that right now. Hook that up for you, brother. And yeah, I can't wait to see what happens with X-Men 97 Season 2. I'm looking forward to watching the blackest X-Men show that I've ever seen in my life. Anyway, peace out.